There you go, guys. So welcome to the start of this video. It could be very long. I haven't decided. I might break it into two yet. But yeah, we're almost done. I've got a few odds and ends to do. A few bolts, a couple of bolts put in the front fender. Test the running board. We'll go around and button a few things up. I put the windscreen in. I just set one post in. So yeah, we've got lots of little bits and pieces just to final off. Go around, double check, make sure everything's tight. Because some things you put on, and you might put a whole heap of bolts in, and then you just double check and make sure I have got all the ones that are in it tight. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. If you can, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment, ask questions, whatever. Hope you enjoy the videos. Had some really good view numbers for me in recent videos. The last one's like almost 300, I think, views, which is doing pretty well for me for especially just the build stuff. So yeah, this could be 2 to 3 hours long. I might split it up. We'll just see. It might be a couple of hour-and-a-half long videos to the type thing. Just all the little trials and tribulations of putting this thing back together. We'll just say we've had a few teething issues. You know, it's one of those things. You start putting things together, and just doesn't matter how many times you've had it together. You know, when you go to put it together for the last time, and it just still doesn't seem to fit, or something's different, or yeah, I don't know. And you have to get everything bolted down and all that sort of stuff. It's just funny how some things just don't fit like they did or were, or whatever, or where you work things out. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. Righty, so welcome back to NZ Mo. It's actually only a few hours after I painted, but I might as well start the new video now. So I think I'm going to do, I'm actually down here at night, but I'm going to demask this because I buggered off and left it for it's about 3 hours now since it's sprayed. Might be a little bit longer than that, might be 4 hours almost. So yeah, I'm just going to demask and then bugger off back home, but yeah. We'll demask and we're going to have a quick look around. We'll do a quick walk around. I don't want to spend too long down here. I know my tea's cooking at home, or dinner, or whatever you want to call it. Oh girl, it does look sharp. It's good. Can't really touch it too much yet. Should be still pretty soft. Hopefully using those bits. They're just floating on top. See, there's a little bit of crap landed in it since I've left. She looks pretty good. Awesome. Oh, I'll take a couple of photos and I'll send them through the owner, see if I can keep them happy for 5 minutes. Right, morning guys. As much as I'm tempted to start doing things today, I just want to leave it. All the stuff, I might be drag the panel stands into the road and whatever. But I mainly want to leave that alone, at least for the rest of the day, until I start mucking around, putting door hinges on and slipping the doors in and all sorts of stuff. Like, I'll probably put the doors on right at the end, to be honest. You know, dropping the body down. I just want to let it cure a bit longer, give it, you know, another 12 hours sort of thing. or tomorrow even, which is technically the final day, but not really. Like I've sort of allowed to, you know, I think if I can get it sorted by the weekend, I'll be happy. So yeah, kind of is what it is. So that gives me 3 or 4 days to bolt the guards on and whatever, and put some body bolts in. Don't even have to muck around with the wiring, because the wiring's shot and lots of stuff. You know, we'll piece it back together. So the first thing I want to do, now when I'm finished with that, is I want to wet sand the headlight brackets and stuff. I need to remake this battery tray. Quickly at some point. It looks like that was made in probably 3 pieces. It probably a big piece that went around underneath, and then the 2 side fillers. So that shouldn't be too hard to replicate. I don't think it has to be dead on 100% perfect. As long as we get it reasonable, then we can give that a quick coat of paint as well when we're repainting these headlights, because they've got a couple of runs in them and just didn't get enough painting around here. So what I'll do is, when I first paint these, I'll blow a decent 1 coat in here, and these will only probably get another 1 coat over top anyway, unless I happen to have put 2 on them. But we'll give these a wet sand out, because there's a couple little runs in here, and like the fuel tank only really needs a light coat on the underside, because that's kind of where we couldn't get paint in. You can see that's bare there. That was right underneath, and obviously the panel stands on the road, so we can sit that up to the way. A couple other things need a puff of black from basically the direction. Basically they'll get another coat, and we'll hang them up the other way, which will probably be tomorrow, because then I can piece that together and cover it up and get most of the things out of the road well, so I can do these bits and pieces. I also want to give those wheels a scuff, get them in here, and I'll go around with them with the Scotch-Brite disc, tear the worst of the paint off, and then we'll get them masked out so they can be painted, and stuff like that, and then they can be bolted on. Right, so I just quickly sandblasted the tank straps and the sight glass, I think it is for the fuel tank, just the ring. I pulled the glass and everything out of it, was just loose anyway. So I just gave that a quick sandblast, and I whipped a coat of black around them, just rattle can. I've sanded most of the stuff back that I'm going to repaint. Gave this a light scuff across the bottom. I'll obviously have to wipe it down and clean it up. What I'm going to do, I think today, I don't know if I'm going to paint the stuff today. I might do later, like late this afternoon. I might lay it out. I don't want to be handling this paint stuff too much yet. It's probably fine, but you know what I mean. I'd just rather leave it till later in the day after lunch, 3 o'clock sort of type thing. Just give it a decent time to cure up. So, but I might drag it out of the road a little bit, just move it over here on the stands. So I'm just going through all this, looking at all the small stuff. Obviously we got that stuff all painted. But we got the door locks painted the other day. Don't throw the screw away. Grab that. So I just got all that stuff sort of sitting here in the meantime until we go back to putting stuff together. These here, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. Let's put some black on them maybe. They were painted green, but everything was fucking painted the green that it was painted. Like you can see in there. It's not the original green, it's like a green that they brush painted on in the 60s. Or sometime around about there. So yeah, I might just rattle can them black. they can go back on. And put the doors back together. I'm just looking at all the other small stuff that sort of come off the car. Like this is the rear tail light. So I might just whip that apart quickly. I think the lens and cover for it is over there, but I'll just whip this apart and give it a quick sandblast. And when we paint that other stuff black, we'll give these pieces a quick coat of black so they're tidy. That's the fuel tank thing. I'm not going to worry about that. We'll just put that back on. Just looking through here, what else is part of it? Some of it is and some of it isn't. Like these, the rods for the bonnet, the hood. So I got to go back in. These here are brackets for the exhaust, so I'm not going to panic about them. I'll just give them back to them. That's for the exhaust too, I think. So we'll just give that back to him. Like, because he may not end up using them, if you know what I mean, because the exhaust was tiny on it, right, where it come back through the car. You know, and obviously depending on whether we can get a muffler or whatever to suit that. I'll give it to him. I'll say, well, it's brackets off the exhaust if you end up using them, you know what I mean? Most stuff's up here. So we'll drop that stuff off. So I've got all the other bolts here that I need to go through and clean up quickly. And so with the guard bolts and bits and pieces. There's the hood hole bearings. There's only 3 of them. One was missing. But there's a little bit of stuff to go through. Some of it he can probably end up doing himself. Like I've done the major work. Like I'll give him all the paint. Yeah. Might as well sandblast those, I suppose. Give them a quick clean up. And they can be painted as well. What's anything else in there? Oh, steering coupling stuff. Some bits and pieces of steering column linkage. Yeah, we'll give that a sandblast. At some point I will make that battery holder. It's not a big job. So we'll throw that in there. I'm just trying to clean all this smaller stuff up. You know, like it wouldn't have mattered if I didn't get it done, if you know what I mean. But if we can, well, we will. It looks like it might have been. Yes, that's a part of another one. That's all the bits I'll do to clean up. Pretty sure one of them wasn't on there. So this stuff just needs a wipe down and whatever, and you know, give that a coat of paint later on. So that's kind of where I'm at. So we'll go through all the small stuff, try and get what we can cleaned up and painted over the next day or two, and then it can be pieced together. I don't care if I don't get it fully together and ready to roll away until Sunday or something like that. Or that is what it is. I'm not terribly stressed, if you know what I mean. We'll get it together as much as we can, as long as it steers. You know, and the wheels are back on it, nothing's going to fall off. Like it come to me in bits anyway. So all I had to do was make it look pretty. You know, they've still got to do wiring and shit. Look, all the old wiring is just lying down there, like it was all half strewn out and pulled apart and disconnected anyway. So, you know, what do you do with it? You know. I can go through and replace it. I was just looking to see what else I can clean up. Well, that's a carburetor linkage thing that runs across the firewall, bolts onto the bottom of the firewall there. You know, I could probably give that a once over, I guess. Give it a flick with the rattle can, at least that'll tidy it up. It'll look half decent instead of covered in shit. throw that in there too. Anyway, I'll carry on. I'll get some more stuff cleaned up. And yeah, we'll get a bit of progress tomorrow. We'll start bolting it together. You know, get the doors on it and whatever, and then we can figure out what else we need to do. Yeah, we'll carry on. Right, so here's all the shitty little jobs you're gonna do, you know, when you're doing this sort of stuff. So this is the front guard bolts, front fender bolts, what you want to call it. So I just got them all down on my, it's a little, one of those cheap sieves, I guess you'd call it, or screen, or whatever you want to call it. That used for cooking. Handy because I can sit small stuff on it, but the shit will still fall down through it, but you don't lose your nuts or your bolts or washers through the big grates, and then I just throw them in the little old paint cup there. So yeah, just going through all this crap, cleaning it up. There's the odd broken piece in there, but you know, I'll sort that as I'm going. But yeah, like this is all the crap that just takes forever. You know, this would be handy having somebody else working with me, because I could just sit and do for, you know, a few hours. Let's get this white down. I could just sit in too for a few hours and just keep blasting away this. But I was actually my biggest pain in the ass at the moment. I got wherever that big bucket is, doesn't matter, big white bucket. Yeah, I think it was the bigger one than that. I could almost do with another big bucket of garnet in here. Okay, whatever it is, a 5 gallon or 4 gallon bucket of sand, because I just garnet, because I got this from the Sandblaster one day when I was in there, and I screened it the other day back through this to get rid of the shit. And I could really do with another one in there. It's not enough. My biggest problem is it'll run away from the bottom as you're blasting, but it won't run back in there. I need at least another bucket or bucket and a half in there, I think, and that's my biggest problem at the moment. Because every now and again, you've got to give the thing a bloody shake, or you got to put your hand in there and scrape it out, because it just builds up around the edges and it doesn't run back in there. So yeah, I'm going to have to get, probably another couple would be safe, you know, throw one in there, see how it performs, and then put another one in there if I have to. Just pain. I've actually seen a guy convert one of these to a, what do you want to call it, vapor blasting the other day, which is basically you use a meteor in water. I can't remember what all the mix was, I'd have to find the video again. But he converted one of these cabinets to a vapor blaster. You know, and had like a pump and water and a filter and whatever else, and it seemed to be just tearing the shit off. I reckon it'd be quite good, but you know, it's one of those things down the road that could do. But yeah, anyway, I'll keep blasting away. But yeah, this is, you know, where if you had somebody even young, you know, come in for a couple of hours a day, or you know, even 2 or 3 days a week or something like that, you know, you could just get them to sit there and just clean up a lot of this old shit, you know, that you probably end up using a lot of it, but some of it you have to replace, but we'll make stuff. But yeah, like this is, you can waste hours just sitting here cleaning this shit at frickin', you know, $80 an hour, $100 an hour. You know, that's pretty much what you're charging the customer just to clean shit, frickin' bolts and bits and pieces. But you've got to do what you got to do. So I'll carry on. That's pretty much what I've been doing today, and just painting all the little bits as I'm getting them cleaned up. Still haven't got back to this stuff yet. I don't know if I will. I might paint them tomorrow maybe, but I've just been, as I've been cleaning all these little pieces up, like this is a handle for the back of the front seat that was actually bent and twisted, so I spent a wee while with it, just put it in the vise and just keep moving along and then twisting it around to straighten it out, just keep clamping it. It's not perfect, but I had quite an S in it, and this is like a engine linkage. It really needs that bolt thing there repaired at some point, like it's for the linkage. It's like one of the little ball sockets. It's all worn out and flogged, but I just cleaned it up and painted it. He might better find another little linkage to put on the end of it to hook into the other stuff. And I've started spraying these. I expect if there's another coat actually. These are some of the hood hold down sides. I'm just spraying them with rattle can. But like we've got 3, and then the base of one, if you know what I mean. The rest of it's missing. I'm just cleaning these up. He really needs to probably get like one's got a hole in it here, wherever it is. It might be this one, is it? Yeah, so there's a hole through there. Well, that's buggered. Like I could probably sit there and fix it and repair it, but it's not really worth it. If he might better find another one. But I'll just clean them up. We can just put them back on to hold the hoods down. And yeah, there's a base of one in wherever somewhere. But the whole top piece is missing. But it is what it is. So yeah, I'll keep cleaning these bits up. Right, morning guys. It's getting nippy around here. We're definitely losing, well, summer's gone. Middle of the day is quite nice, but anyway. It's now, what are we? Wednesday fucking morning. Yeah, geez, we are too. So, I'm just trying to find what's left of the bolts that have this thing down. I'm going to have a hunt around some of the bits and pieces I've got here and see if I've got anything appropriate. Turn away from the, keeps flickering. I've just been hunting through the odds and ends and bits and pieces that have just been put in the odd bit that hasn't really been labelled too well. Most of the main important stuff was and put in a bag and labelled, but there's a few bits and pieces floating around that have just been thrown in some potholes. I think this was what's left of the bolts that held this thing down, the body on. I think this is what they were. I'm pretty sure these were 5/8 from memory. I think that's what they were. See if we can find a 5/8 spanner and I'll double check that. I think that's what sticks in the head when I pull them apart. Yeah, 5/8. It won't matter if that's what the head isn't, but these must be, I'm guessing a 1/2 inch or somewhere around about there. Might be 3/8, no, it might be 1/2 inch. I'll have a quick measure. But none of these, you can tell that that's just absolutely cactused. And that's obviously one that I couldn't get undone that I've cut. Anything else that's floating around kind of looks the same. It doesn't look any better, if you know what I mean. Like you can see, that's one I've cut. But you can see it was all just absolutely hammered in there. So yeah, I might just go buy 8 new ones. If I can't find anything here that's suitable, that's about that length, with a couple of nuts and a couple of washers and whatever. Yeah, we'll have to go get some bolts. I haven't got anything here that's suitable. All my stuff's smaller, all big long stuff. So we'll go get 8 bolts, and then and obviously appropriate washers and nuts, and we'll bang this thing back together. And yeah, we'll go from there. Right, so we got some bolts. Ended up with the ridge ones are 716, and they were, I wouldn't say they were awkward to get washers for, but they just weren't what I wanted. Some decent heavy washers. I could only get lights, sort of small ones. They didn't have a big selection. 716 bolts aren't real common. They probably are, but not here. They don't use, said they didn't use a lot of them, and they only had a freaking small selection of washers. So so instead of going to like 1/2 inch or something like that, I just went to 12mm. What does it matter? So we've got some good 12mm bolts, 2 flat washers, and a spring washer for each. So I'll cut some rubber, bang a hole in it. We have to slip the valance in there as well, and yeah, just I guess we won't pull it up tight until we've got everything dialed in, and we'll just snug it up. Well, obviously we've got a lot of other stuff to go on, and we'll slip that other bracket in. So yeah, I think that should be okay. It should work all right. Make sure that they all go right. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, I just thought I could have went back to 3/8, but I thought no, better off just go a little bit bigger. I thought 1/2 inch might be enough movement in it to get everything lined up nicely, if you know what I mean. It might be just too big. That's probably why they were 716 and they were undersized in the hole. Like we're only talking an extra millimetre really bigger in diameter. These are about 11mm is the rough conversion, without getting technical, if you know what I mean. Rough conversion. 1116 is about 11mm ish. Like 3/8 is about 10mm. And so yeah, I didn't really want to jump to 1/2, which is about 13mm. I thought 12 is probably slightly better. Just it's without going too big. So yeah, we'll get ourselves sorted here. We'll cut some chunks of rubber, bang a hole in them, and we'll slip them in. Alright, just about to put the outside valance on. I've got this one temporarily sitting in there. I actually do the same thing on this side as what I had to do on that side. Was missing a notch in there for body bolts. This side had the one for the bolt that goes through for the cross member, but not one for the body itself, so just notched that in there. I haven't got any nuts or bolts or anything on, well, I've got the bolts through, but I haven't got any nuts or anything on there yet. Just got it all sitting loose, obviously, so we can jiggle things around. Obviously, when we get to it, we can fit the fenders on, make sure that everything's in the right place until we nip them up, basically. I'm not going to panic about pulling it hard down, obviously, just quite yet, until we know that we've got everything sitting in the right place. So yeah, but we're getting there. So I just puffed a wee bit of black paint on there just to seal the edge up, I guess, so it's not raw steel. Stop it from rusting quite so quick. So yeah, we'll throw that on after lunch. Righty, what have we got there? So I've Scotch Brite these wheels and got rid of the rest of the well, you basically clean the paint off them. It's not worth breaking them down properly because there's a couple of rims that aren't very good and they really need stripped off and sandblasted and whatever. But you know, it's a quick couple of 3 coats with rattle can. At least they'll be tidy and they'll look nice in the meantime, if you know what I mean. And when he decides he wants to put decent tyres on, well, he can sandblast them properly and probably end up using that rim instead of one of these other ones. It's probably one of the ones outside, I'm not sure. I don't think I've got the bad one in here yet. The only other thing I've really done to here is I've got first part of the dash in. It's not pulled up right tight, but he wanted to leave the paint on it because his dad painted this thing originally. And he kind of wanted to leave that. So, oh yeah, fine. So I've only got about 3 bolts in it and they're not pulled up tight yet. I've sort of just got that piece in there, sort of, it's out of the road because it was a bit of a bitch of a thing to put in. But yeah, so that's in there. And the rest of it's sort of just, I haven't really done much else apart from obviously got this fitting, and we haven't done the bolts up yet, but they've got all the nuts and washers on. And the only other thing I've done is, well, I wouldn't say the only thing I've done, but I think the only other thing I've done sort of just in recent years is I stripped down the tail light and I painted that too. When I get a chance and I freaking got everything else sorted, I will set all the stuff up and spray, but I thought I'll clean up the wheels and whatever. So yeah, so we're just using cards, just normal playing cards around here. Works quite well. All you do is just let the air out of the tyre, push the bead down a little bit, and pop a card in there and pull it out. It's quite handy for just doing this, and if you really want to, you can pull it back and mask it out if this is what you want to do, if you know what I mean. A couple of cheap packs of cards and away you go. This is a 500 pack. If you're not sure what a 500 pack, it goes up to 13 and then goes face cards. It's just a particular game. It was just what was available and cheap. I think it was like $2 a pack. It's an real easy way to mask. If you really wanted to, you know, you could stand them up like this to get a wee bit more coverage. But yeah, she's good. It's an easy way to just get a coat of paint on there and make it look half decent. You know, tidy it up a wee bit. Better than after a freaking, you know, water blast them and all the freaking paint fell off, you know what I mean? It's better than looking like that. Just a quick clean up, you know, whatever. But yeah, I can't remember which one of these wheels is the bad one. Yeah, this one here. See this bead here? I meant to show you the other day. So it's actually breaking away from the, see it's quite tight here. I think it's this one. Looks like it's pulling away. Or is it this one? No, it might be this one. Yeah, it's this one here. See, it's all busted away, so it's no gap there. And this has got like a, I don't know, you get your finger and then just about. So this room's buggered. I'll show you what's going on. This other wheel, the white one that's got no tyre on it. So I'm gonna, wow, yeah, probably will clean it up. Got the lock ring here somewhere, over there. Well, what happens is, this piece here, where it joins in, rots off. They normally rot off through here and they break away. And that's when your lock ring on these split rims, is various different variations of split rims. I'm pretty familiar with them. Done a lot of old trucks and bits and pieces and buses and all sorts of crap. When I used to change tyres, I've done a few different jobs obviously over the years. Get out of there. So what happens there is when this breaks away, rots away, this here locks underneath it. As long as the rim's in good condition. When you push the tyre pressure comes up, it squeezes this in and locks into here. As long as you bring the pressure up gently, and the best trick is to come along and just give it a wee tap with a hammer as you're going around. As you're building the air pressure up, so like from 0 to about 10, 15 pound, the tyre should squeeze out and the bead of the tyre should force this ring in. And if you just give it a wee tap with the hammer, that will lock it in, as long as everything's good and clean. That's the biggest secret with these things. If they're not clean, and you haven't got all the rust and the rust jacking and all that sort of bullshit off them, they can be really dangerous. But if they're good and clean and in good nick, they're fine. It's one of those things. It's bad knowledge and bad condition wheels of these sorts of things that kill people. Like obviously in more modern rim, that's one piece. It's got a bead on both sides, and the locking, it's got like a little rib, from each edge, which holds the tyre on there. So once it pushes past it, it shouldn't come back off, as long as the pressure's good enough. But that just helps hold the bead on a tyre. As long as it's in good condition, they don't give any issues. You know what I mean? Like, hence in case, like this was probably on there, it's been on there 100 years. It's been changed at some point. I wonder if there's a date on these. I don't know if there is. They might be too old. 03, 25th of 03. Yeah, so these aren't actually that old. But they might have been just garbage. I think that's what those will be. It might not be, because it's got a 7 in front of it. On most modern tyres, you'd have the week of the year up to 52, and then the year is like be 03. So this, in theory, it may not be. It might be older than that, but these could be older than that. But normally, if it was just a 4-digit number in the date code, that would be the 25th week of 03. That's how you read them. These may be older than that. Anyway, I'm going to bugger off. It's time to bugger off. We'll come back tomorrow and might give these another coat, especially this one. Might give one now before I bugger off. But yeah, that's the thing I look for on especially new rubber. If you're going to be buying a new tyre at any stage, and it happens to be a bit of an oddball, just check the date codes on. Don't buy any tyre in theory older than 7 years, because the rubber gets hard, and even though it's probably going to still drive all right, it's in the wet. They just lose all their grip. Doesn't matter whether they're a nice compound or an old compound or what. That's how people used to get years and years and years ago, like make a tyre last, frickin' a long time, because they'd frickin' buy 2 or 3 sets and they'd throw them in the cupboard, and the last set they put on were like 10 years old. And those ones there, they'd get frickin' 150,000 miles out of them, or even Ks or whatever. They'd get so many frickin' miles, and it was crazy. But it's because all the old rubber's gone hard. But they get so greasy. You get a bit of rain on the road, and they won't bite in. They'll just slide across the top. They won't even try to bite in. Whereas it's a nice, soft, supple tyre. At least if it's wet, as long as you're not driving through frickin' 6 inches of water, will still grip the road all right, even if it's a half decent tyre, if you know what I mean. So yeah, But anyway, yeah, I'd say these could be older than that. So I think they went to the 4-digit date code at the start of 2000. I think that's when they changed it. So yeah, I could be wrong, but I think that's when it is. And basically, it's just week and then year. But I think these are older than 23 years old now. They would be. So I think they're older than that. Anyway, I'll put one more coat on these, and hopefully we'll get some paint on this other shit tomorrow when I finally just get everything sorted and work out what I'm doing with everything. These here, I'm just giving a quick coat of paint with frickin' rattle can.
Runs like a truck.
There you going, guys. So, I told you this morning, I don't know if I have. I think I turned the video on when the car came out. I was trying to get the brake pedal on. I might just have to shimmy the body across a little bit to get it on, and then, because I can't quite get the pedal straight enough. Almost got to have the body loose and over to one side a little bit, get the pedal on and then put it on, because you can't get the body on with it on because it sits out too wide. It sits out almost into the into that sort of last little piece of the sort of the footwell into the body, if you know what I mean. Sort of sits over top of the chassis, but kind of got to have the body on to get it on, but you can't get it on. If you know what I mean? Because it's right on the edge and it's got a drift key in it, and you almost got to wiggle it on and then slide it across. I had it on the other day, just making sure it did fit in there properly, with the chassis and everything bolted in, and it did. But now they've got the body on, it hits the side of the bottom of the body. So I'll get that on. I have to wiggle the body across a little bit, and then I've been cleaning out the toe board right up the top one. That's the only one I've got left here. I've been trying to clean that up a little bit so I can try and put that in. I can, but I need to put the brake pedal in first, because that also holds the steering column at the bottom. Once it's got its 4 nuts on the outside, then I can slip the steering column in. So I'll do that, and we'll try and come back to you. Right, I wonder why shit takes fucking forever to put together. So I had a clip, I had the camera sitting inside, but I don't think you could see everything what I was doing. I got this on pedal on. There was a bit of the paint was freaking stopping it from sliding on. But it's weird. I've never had any of this here off the gearbox. This was all still attached. But it's weird. I cannot get that bolt in because the bump in the shaft doesn't fucking line up. And I know there's a bit of a gap in there at the moment, but even if I push it over to get it over far enough with a bit of pressure, I still can't get it to line up. It's like frickin', it wouldn't be half a hole, but it's close, if you know what I mean. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. Unless it was really squeezed up and clamped up before, I can't remember, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and I can't get anything in the clamp, like from here to here, and pull it in to get it lined up. So yeah, I don't know. I might just have to, it's on there, but I might just have to leave the bolt out of there until maybe later on when I'm under the vehicle. I can maybe pull this down and have a wee bit of a better look from down below to see if I can work out what's going on. But anyway, I'll carry on, otherwise I'm just going to waste mountains of time trying to frickin' get that together. We'll get it together at some point. I might just have to get somebody else and here to give me a hand. Maybe two of us just holding a bit of pressure with some bars or something like that might better get at the point where we can slip that bolt through the hole. I did have to chase the thread too. I just run a tap over there because I thought that maybe might have been stopping it for a start. So I run a dynate over there and I quickly run the tap through that. But yeah, it's weird. You know, it's strange. There's frickin' some of this weird stuff, you know, just the way it works. It just wants to bite you. It's not like a modern car, you know, where things like normally if they're in the right place, they bolt up. Don't normally have to fight too much. But anyway, we'll carry on. We'll work on something else since we get in the hole. I might even try and get that toe board back in there now and whatever. Actually, I might try and put there's a linkage that goes across there for that carburetor and stuff, which is this one here. I might throw that up there. Bolts on there like that. Might put that in there and then then we can do the other stuff. Need to find the other nut and bolt for that. And might throw that on there before we put the toe board in there because it'll be damn so easy to put that in there with all that toe board in place. Alright, we'll carry on. Right, I think what I might do now, because I've got that toe board basically in there, I need some help with a couple of nuts and bolts. I just, I don't know how, to be honest, I got it apart by myself, but the very top bolt that's up in here, right at the top, is real close into here, and it's like tucked in behind. So I almost need something to hold it in there while I screw the machine screw in at the same time as I hold it up in there. I can, but it's too awkward, it's too high up. I've got to be way around here to get my hand in there, and then I can't reach the hand around, if you know what I mean. The bottom one was okay because it was a little bit further in, and it's not so just a disjointed angle for your hand to get the nut on. I can't do both at the same time. So I think what I'll do is I might jack the back end up, lift it up a bit higher, and we'll slip this diff, we'll loosen the diff off and we'll slip that back and we'll get the drive shaft in there. I think that's, at least it's done. Right, so we've got the, I guess you'd call it the drive shaft, the torque tube, slipped back onto the actual shaft that's in the centre, got that back on. Just got to get the diff back in the right place now, and then I can bolt that up as good as it's going to be with the U-bolts and garbage that's holding it together. Like I said, at some point, if he really wants to do some distance in it, he'll have to replace everything. But yeah, so we got that in place. It wasn't terribly difficult. I managed to basically jack it up, undo the bolts, lift the diff up, and then climb underneath at the front. Gave that front piece a wash out with some brake clean. Just give it a good rinse out, I guess, so there's no shit in there, or hopefully there's no too much shit in there. And yeah, and then slid that in then, and then just keep wiggling the jack at the back to push it forward and come around and make sure, you know, keep the pressure off until the actual tubes all slid one over the other and fitted in properly, because you got that shaft and then there's actually a shoulder on the shaft for the actual torque tube to actually run up over to get it all into fit, and then you can pull the ball socket piece up and the other piece for the back of it. So when I go to put that on, I'll put a bit of grease and shit in around there. I don't know, I'll squirt some oil in there or something, just so it's not dry. it shouldn't need too much, but it just a wee bit of something in there won't hurt, because obviously when it's moving around and driving, it just needs a little bit of lubrication there. So I'll just put a wee bit of something around there so it's not dry. But yeah, I'll see if I can get these U-bolts back in place now and get the diff all located in place. Right, so just finished bolting rear fenders on. They're still loose on the valances. No, I haven't got them 100% tight because we haven't bolted the body down fully yet. Just want to make sure everything does fit. So we might have to just jiggle the valances backwards and forwards a little bit just to get everything to line up. But so they're bolted on, which is good. I've used part of the original hardware. They actually had these big flat square washers, so I quickly gave them a clean up, blew a coat of black on them. I used some new bolts, some old bolts, just what was good of the old stuff I put in, and then whatever. So at some point I will go around with some paint, some rattle can, and I'll spray up underneath the wheel arches, and I'll run over some of the heads of the bolts. There's a couple of shiny washers in there, because some of those other bolts were, what do you want to call it, the big flat square washer, the original ones, some of them are broken, so we'll just replace them with just normal, big old round guard washer. So we'll just mist a wee bit of rattle can black over that, and just on the inside of the show you where are they? There's a couple in here. Yeah, there's one there. So yeah, we'll just mist a bit of black in there and just flick a wee bit of black over some of those bolt heads as well. That'll tidy it up. That looks fucking good. It's looking awesome. Looking awesome. So yeah, I can't wait to sort of get a wee bit more of this front sheet metal on. We kind of work out what I'm doing next. I'm just looking at all bits and pieces. I still want to clean up those other two wheels. So I still haven't painted this shit yet. I really need to get that stuff painted. Work out what I'm doing. But I might just quickly sandblast that bottom of this. Just get mainly the shit off it. Give it a bloody clean up, really. But I'll use that because I can just sit it out there and use all my old crap and just give it a bloody good clean up. Flick a wee bit of rattle can on the bottom to tidy her up. So yeah, lots of these things here I won't end up putting back on in the meantime. They can go through and do that. They're going to put wiring on and all sort of bullshit, and they'll have to put new fuel lines on because, well, that's the old original fuel line. It might be alright, it might not, I don't know. But, probably, you may as well replace it. I don't really know what the tank's locking inside. I had a quick squiz in there. It looks reasonable. Hard to say. But, who knows. But it's going back in the meantime. So we'll give that a quick clean up. Sandblast around the end of that. I'll see if I can get some of this other shit laid out. Flick a coat of paint on it. See where the wheels stripped down and cleaned up. Because I'll probably put these two here on the back. Put some mirror and put them on the back. At least that'll be sort of kind of finished-ish. You know what I mean? And at some point, once I got the front guards on, fenders on, whatever, I can have a bit of a suss out with these here. I don't know if I'm going to get them made yet, but at least I can have a suss out. I've got these as patterns, and we can try and get these made. Otherwise, I'll just make them at some point, basically the skeletons, and then we can deliver. But I'll better take some good measurements once I've got it together, take a few photos, double check those against here, put some tape on, check them to make sure that they do fit here, take a few measurements, just see where it needs to be, whatever, and then I can make them at some point, and he can pick them up. I can just say, I've made the guts of those pieces, and then he can come along and pick them up and do whatever he wants to do with them at some point, because I did say I would make them for him. And it's not a biggie. I can make them one Saturday or Sunday or something like that. Spend a couple of hours here and there over 2 or 3 weeks and get in made. I'm not too stressed about it, if you know what I mean. As long as we get this back together and he's happy, and then it can go away and whatever, you know, and we can get it out of here. Yeah, we'll carry on. Alrighty, so I wasn't sure what these were. These are definitely not off this thing. I only thought they might have been, like in that it's actually got like a tray that runs down beside the motor, down in here. They could be, but I don't know. I can't see how they fit. Even they got this weird piece in here. He thought they were off it, but they weren't, never on. So I don't know. They just almost looks like they're inner fender parts off something. I don't know. Just to me, they don't look like they go anywhere in here, if you know what I mean. Like if that's meant to be in here, just per se, because he wanted me to clean them up and put them on, and I was like, well, just yeah, if they fit, if that's what they're for. But they don't make any sense to me. They're just not, you know what I mean. Could go. Oh, maybe they do. Fit me with that. So that would clear spring. Maybe they do. I don't know, they just fit weird though, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they fit right down underneath there. They bolt up against the sump. What a fucking pain in the ass. If they are. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah. Might be where they go. Meant to be bolt down on the bottom of the chassis. And onto and around there. I'm guessing that's the only place they can. It looks like they might go and that might hang past the spring, but I don't know. It's so beaten up. It wouldn't be hard to frickin' weld it up and repair it, but yeah, I don't know. I might weld them up and repair them and paint them black for them one day when I do that shit. Go here, you put them on. So I got the steering wheel in. You got that in. It's in just loosely at the moment. I dropped my frickin' bolt for here, so that's down on the floor somewhere. So I got to get down there and get that wherever it went. I was just having a look for it before. I still haven't got around to anything else apart from getting, you know, some more of this garbage in. Did I have the back wheels on before? May not have. Can't remember. So I've got the back wheels and the both rear guards on. I'm not sure if I showed you that before or not. Can't remember. Done a lot of sandblasting of bits and pieces and bolts, and then I was trying to find that coupling and everything for the bottom of the steering column, but I was looking for it in a bag and it was in a pottle, like one of those old paint containers. So now I finally found that. So yeah, so I'm just about to bring those other two wheels in and clean them up, and then try and at least get them painted tonight. I still haven't got to those frickin' headlights and stuff. That might be tomorrow's job, because I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm running out of stuff, but I'm kind of running out of all the shitty crap, if you know what I mean. Apart from obviously putting the doors together and stuff like that, and putting the radiator in. I'm kind of trying to get everything else done, and then sort of pop the stuff on, pop the doors on, and then it's kind of finished, because I haven't got any upholstery or anything for it here. It's all gone away now. So yeah, I'll bring those 2 wheels in, throw them up on the stands, and we'll knock all the shit off them. Even though there's that one that's buggered, I'll still paint it up, put it on, just to make it look tidy. So I can take some photos of it when it's basically all together, sort of type thing. So yeah, we're kind of getting there. Finding all the little bits and pieces and getting stuff cleaned up. I really need to put a bit of freaking cardboard or something in here and just turn that steering column and paint that. But I haven't bolted it up tight yet, because I haven't found that other nuts. I want to get everything on there and then sneak everything up, and then I might just put some cardboard or paper in here and then just something in here and just turn it around a little bit and mist it. And maybe put some colour on it. I could have painted it off, but I thought, I'll do it while it's on there. So yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll probably come back to you one more time before. So what we're trying to do here really is just tidy them up until at some point when the tyres come off to be changed, because they're going to have to be changed at some point if he wants to really use it, because some of the tyres are absolutely stuffed. Then you can get them sandblasted and painted properly and replace or repair the rims that need to be. We're just cleaning the shit off, so at least it's an even plain surface, and we'll just blow a couple of coats on and make it look tidy. That's all we're doing. We're not getting fancy, we're just cleaning it up, so at least it looks presentable. You know what I mean? Be nice if they were, to be honest, I would almost paint them maybe a black or silver outer and a green on the centre or something like that, or I don't know, or maybe black centre and green outer, or silver centre and green outer or something like that, and then maybe a couple of pinstripes around it or something. That would be what I would do if you're going to do it properly, if you know what I mean. I was contemplating spraying them with proper paint, but I thought, well, what's the point? We'll just blow a couple of coats of rattle, couple of 3 coats of rattle can on there, make them so they're nice and even, look tidy, and you know, we can just bolt them on, and then when he repairs or replaces or does whatever he's going to do with the tyres, at least then they can be sandblasted properly and some fresh rubber put on and a nice coat of paint put on them. And then we painted both sides, but at least they look tidy from the outside in the meantime. It's kind of a plan. Yeah, and just look at this from, I don't think I'm going to do anything with it. I might actually, as much as I don't want to frickin' screw around with it, I might drop it into one of the local tyre places and just get them to strip this one off, and because it'd be easier for them to strip it off. I can soon put it on. As long as I can get it off without busting anything and clean it up, I can just mix up a bit of a soapy solution, and once I'll clean this wheel up, I think, and we'll put that tyre in here. I just don't trust this wheel. It's really, really dodgy. That's not good at all. I don't know whether it's the centre breaking away or whether it's the outside band. But we'll find out when we get it off. I could do it, but I'd end up fighting with it, trying to break the beads and get it loose. But yeah, like a local tyre shop, just weaving with the normal car changer now. We better break the beads and just with a normal bead breaker, and then flick the ring off, and then push this off with just a normal tyre changer. You can do it, even if you mount it, grab it from in there upside down in the thing, and then push it off, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I just don't trust it. I think it'd be easier to clean this one up when it's on and paint it, so I might start cleaning that one up. I just think it's, then I can give them this one and go, look, this one's fucked. I used just better swapped it over just to be safer. I would hate to see the fucking thing if you hadn't be tooting it around in it, and I say, oh, you know, it's freaking no good, might pay to change, get it changed over, and he never does, and puts a wee bit of pressure in it, and somebody's walking past and it blows out. It's just because this ring will fucking break your leg. Or if it was a little kid, it would. Now, if it blew off, not that he's likely to put having a lot of pressure in it, but it's still at 20 or 30, 20 pound even. If that happens to break away and let go, it'll still take off. You believe me, I was pumping up one of the very first truck tyres that ever let go on me, which was a 16-inch, was it 16? No, 17.5-inch, like low profile, but it was on a B-train, like, you know, double trailer. And we had like the real low profile, had a really low profile tyres on it, so it had like a real low profile deck, so you could put lots of high in it. And they had a tyre that was flat, and we pulled it off and we pumped a bit of air in it to see if we can find a hole in it, and it blew out as I was clipped the line on and put it. You might only have 10 or 15, 20 pound in it, but I saw on for a freaking week just from the shock from it letting go. But anyway, we might change that one over and put it on that other rim. It might be safer. Anyway, we'll catch you later on. Right, morning troops. So I'm just cleaning this wheel up. It's been knocking all the crap out of in here, just making sure there's no shit sitting in deep in that V for this to go into. I've still got a little bit of paint there. I forgot to freaking do that end. And then I'll give it another wire brush, I think, with the rotary wire brush. I've done this with the Scotch Brite. I'm not going mad. I'm just sort of doing it the best, same as what I'm doing the other ones. But yeah, I'm really sceptical of that wheel. I don't want to leave it on it, if you know what I mean. I just hate to see him use it and then it fails and blows to pieces and hurts somebody. If he's going to like some, I don't know, wherever, you know, like a car show or something like that, and he trails it, you know, and he tootles it in. I think that's kind of his plan for the next wee while until he probably works all the kinks and bugs out of it, I suppose. You know, obviously make sure that the motor and the gearbox and all that sort of stuff is going to work properly. Why he hasn't just gone through it, I don't know. Like, he's going to end up doing that. I can see it a million miles away, but not my problem. But I don't trust that wheel. It may be able to be repaired, I don't know. But I got a sneaking suspicion it's broken or cracked through here. And this is pulling away, or it's just rotted through. This one looks pretty solid. So yeah, I'm just giving this a clean up. I'm actually going to get the missus. Let's get some bloody. I'm just giving this one a clean up anyway. I'm going to get the missus when she comes back. She's going to give me a hand to do up a few nuts and bolts that I can't do by myself. Then I might get her to shoot away with that wheel and go to one of the local places and get them to strip that off for me and bring everything back, but just apart, and then that'll give me half a chance, because I'll put a coat of that rust converter in here, so just one step primer. I'll give this a bit more of a clean up. We'll put the coat of that one step rust converter in here. Just give it a couple of good coats, sort of thing. make sure it's reasonable, and then that'll give that a half a chance to slip on nicely, because this will be, I won't say it'll be much better, but it might be just a little bit shinier. I might even run it around with a flat disc just to sort of shine it up a little bit, so it's not quite so rough, so the tyre will slip on. Look, I've got a bit of dishwash, here. I'll just make up a little bit of that, put a wee bit of that with just a wee bit of water. We'll just slop it around the inside of the tyre, and then we'll slip this on. And then we'll lock the bead, and I'll show you how to do that. But yeah, that's the big thing of these things. It's in here. This is where people screw up. They never make sure that you go around with the chipping hammer, that we'd use for stick welding or something like that. After you clean it all up, go around here and just chip all that shit out. Make sure that it's totally clean in there, because that's where this bit locks in. So if that's not cleaned right out, that will never go right in. If this is holding out by any little amount, but from shit in there building up, or on here, if you haven't cleaned this edge up on this won't lock in properly. And also, if it's really stretched, if this gap is really huge, try and collapse it back in, but keep it flat. Don't, if it's getting bent and buckled, try and straighten it, or get another one if you've got another one. But yeah, if this gap's really massive, it's overstretched. I want it to be tight. This one's not bad, it's pretty good. But you can just go around and just give it a gentle push, and they'll close up a little bit if you need to. But generally the bead of the tyre will help hold it in. But it's got to lock in. I'll show you when I put it on. These are dead fucking simple. You just basically, I can just about show you with your hand, to be honest. Even holding the frame, like they just go around like that. So this is a wee bit stretched. You can see it's a wee bit stretched, but it's not bad. It'll lock in. And when you blow it up, yeah, just make sure when you get that sort of first 10, 15, 20 pound in it, or PSI in it, make sure that's closed right up and it's hard up against. There's basically no gap at all. Like, it's got a gap like that, it's not locked right in, if you know what I mean. But it'll push in. Yeah, and just go around with a hammer and just tap on that edge and just make sure it locked in before, as the air pressure's coming up and it pushing that tyre out. Yeah, just make sure it locks in that first 10, 15, 20 psi, especially like if it's like a truck wheel or something like that meant to have like 90 psi on it, or even 70 psi on it, or 80 psi on it, or whatever, or 110, 20, depending on whether it's a steer or a drive or whatever, depending on what you're driving on, or in. Yeah, make sure that that's locked in those first few pounds, and then that shouldn't go anywhere. As long as the tyre's in good nick, it shouldn't go anywhere. But anyway, I am going to finish cleaning that up. We'll give this another go around, and then we'll give it a coat of frickin' rust convert in there. And then I'll spray this black once I've got the tyre on. I'll slip some cards in, we'll spray it, then we'll pump it up. But yeah, I just think it'll be safer. Hopefully it's not bent or buckled or twisted or anything. Looks to be okay. I might actually put a flat edge across it and just double check, make sure it's even. Make sure, because I just see it's got a couple of wallops at some stage. It's got a bit of a dent there. That makes me a little dubious. Hopefully it's straight. We'll find out. Yep, and this is where the plot thickens. Just looking at that wheel, I was like, that dent in it doesn't look very good. It's fucked. It's all twisted. It could probably be straightened, but I don't have the capabilities to straighten that. That's really fucking garbaged. Fuck. Oh, it might have to stay with that wheel. Damn it. I was going to use it, but it's fucked. At least straighten. Whether you can straighten it successfully or get it half reasonable, but it's had a hit. Just that dent make me suspicious wherever that dent is. There's quite a few, but yeah, I seen that sort of had that frickin' and I was like, I measured it and it was like an inch at one spot and it was like barely half an inch at the other, and I was like, ooh. I might just throw it on the hub and give it a wee spinny spin. Good thing I didn't go any further. Damn it, I cleaned it up for nothing. It's fucked. Oh, one of those things, like, you could be repaired if you took it to a tyre shop and they could put a, clamp it up on a centre, like a wheel shop, and they could probably run it round and put pressure on the inside of it and straighten it and heat it and straighten it. You know, just for a spear. It would be okay as a spear if you got it reasonable, if you know what I mean. But it's fucking no good for what I want. Damn it. That'd be why it was, you know, I had a tyre stripped off it at some point. You know, you don't know with some of those old things, you know, people buy the tyre stuff, but that might be, the wheel might be okay, but that might be why I've never had a tyre on it. It was fucked. It's bent. Which is a shame, because it's actually not a, that's it. Apart from that, it's in reasonable sort of knack. Well, it's got a bit of rust. No, it's got a bit of pitting and stuff in it. No, it's not that bad, but yeah, she's fuckarooty. And it's not just in the centre of the wheel, it's quite bent and twisted on this outside band too. Oh well. We ain't putting that on there. Oh. I'll just have to tell him to go. But he's going to have to get this room straightened or find another one to replace that other one. Or you'll have to strip that other one off and get it repaired. If it can be repaired, but I got a sneaky suspicion it's rusted through here. And this side of it, you know, it's busting that off. That's what happens to me. Oh well. Oh, forget that plan then. Forget that plan, you can have it back. I'm not going to go any further. Not much point. It sucks because I wanted to clean that wheel up, but I don't really want to clean it up. It's not worth cleaning up. What if I just put a quick wee coat of paint on it just to make it look tidy? Just spray her over top. Maybe. Oh, it sucks. This spare wheel is fucked. Bent and twisted. She no good for nothing. Yeah, it would be better than no wheel at all, but not by much. If you had to really smash a wheel up, yeah, it would get you home if you put a tyre on it. That should be slow trip home. Anyway, right, small update. So instead the missus here helped me for a few minutes because I can't get in and hold the bolt at the top and put the nuts and everything on from the bottom. So she helped me do those ones and the ones underneath the seat. These other 4 I can get easy. And she helped me put the nuts in for the top of the toe board in these shitty corners that I can't reach and get both sides at once. And we're playing with this and trying to get it in. It's frickin' miles off that frickin' slot. So I don't know. I didn't have this apart at all.
I just wonder if somebody's tried to put these washers in here to get some space between these pedals or something, and it's taken up the space of where this is all meant to be closed up to. I don't know. It's kind of weird because these aren't, definitely aren't factory. There's one in there and one in here, but it's about the space I need to get this over to get that frickin' bolt in. Now I can't remember whether that bolt was actually in there or not, but it's fucking miles away. It is literally miles away. So I'm going to undo this here and see if I can get that out, and just see if because there's a little bit of shaft sticking out the end here. I don't know whether that's through and a notch in the like pipe like this one or not, but I might see if I can get a little bit of shaft that way. I might be able to get it on, so I'll undo that and see if we can get it on. Pain in the fucking ass. But yeah, apart from that I haven't done anything else because that wheel's fucked. I did start putting that stuff out there. I was going to put that stuff out there and spray that. I was sort of doing that while I was waiting on the missus to turn up. I did a little bit more sanding on that just to get it ready. I just spotted a few more runs, like little runs and bits and pieces when it was out there. Not that it really matters when it's underneath, but because you're not going to see much of it, but you'll see the back of it, so it's got to be look decent. But yeah, so yeah, I just was going to start laying that stuff out there so I can whip a bit of colour around them shortly. But yeah, I want to get that frickin' bolt in. It's pissed me off. Yeah, I thought just with the two of us, you know, because we put that bar on one side and a screwdriver on the other, and I tried to see if we could get it to close up to get that thing on, but it's miles away. Fucking like that, literally miles away. I wonder if that bolt was just sitting in it, because they had been screwing around with this thing. Like there was bits and pieces half done up and done, half undone. When I started pulling this thing apart, bits were off it, and it was like, yeah, it was kind of weird. Like some things were undone and some things weren't, and it's like it's only been screwing around with it at some point. Whether it was his father or not, I don't know. But yeah, I just wonder if it's only been screwing around with that, trying to get it back together, and they'd put those washers in there to space shit for some fucking reason, and yeah, it just won't work. So I might try and take that out and see if we can do something with that. Alrighty, I've tried and tried and tried. I've got that shaft to move over, but I still can't get far enough through you can actually see like what I've moved it over. It's still not enough. I think what's happened is somebody's at some point this has had this apart, and they've put these freaking washers in here to space the pedal better, possibly. But I can't remember whether this was done up or not, because like I noticed when I was pulling it apart there was lots of things that weren't ever done up properly. Had been partly undone, if you know what I mean, like somebody had been working on it, and I can't remember whether that was done up or not. I can't remember. I vaguely remember, I think I remember it maybe it being loose, but I can't remember if it was actually done up or not, if you know what I mean. I think it might have been, but how they ever fucking got it in there, I don't know. But I think what the problem is because those washers have been put in there, it's taking up the space that's meant to be moved over. It's either that, or if you could get this little spacer out of here, but I can't because the key is still on the shaft. I could probably try and knock the shaft out and just take a little bit off the spacer, but oh freaking heck, it's like, you know, how much time do you spend fucking mucking around with something? So yeah, I don't know whether I can try and see if I can get that washer out of there by just running the cutting disc in against it, cutting it off, like on the cutting disc, like parallel with it, and actually going in and grinding it and then slipping it out of the place and then closing it up, or whether what I fucking do. Because it kind of needs to be done properly, and there's somebody else is going to play with it, like they're going to have to frickin' screw around and screw around and screw around with it too, but I kind of don't have the time to fucking keep screwing around with it. I've got to get this other shit on it and back together, if you know what I mean. The biggest thing is I haven't got any floorboards to put in the fucking thing, so I could just leave it till closer to the end and then have another play with it. But yeah, God, just a pain in the fucking ass. Like I did get probably, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, or thereabouts 3 or 4 mil out of it, but it's still got to come across a bit more yet. Just that bolt won't fucking go in the hole. If you get underneath there, the light's still on, but if you get underneath and shine it up from the backside where the split is, where the clamp of the bolt is, you can see that it's freaking miles away, if you know what I mean. Well, miles away for something like that. So yeah, I don't know, I think carry on. I think I'll get this shit sorted out and out here and freaking blow a coat of paint on it. I was going to do it in here, but I can just set it up out there and just blow paint on it. There's nothing out there that really is going to freaking hurt anything if it gets a little bit of drift on it. But yeah, I kind of need to get these stuff painted so I can put it on. But it needs a couple of days to harden up, you know what I mean? But at least if it's sitting out there for an hour or so, it'll kind of bake. It's not hot, but you know, the sun will just help bake it on once it's blended black. Right, just repainted all the stuff. Basically done the underneath the tank. I may have to just, to be honest, I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to get up the other way because I did sand in quite a few places in this, just try and clean it up a little bit. I might just have to touch it up a little bit at the top with a wee bit of rattle can, but it's going to be underneath the tray, so I'm not worried about it. Do you know what I mean? Just to touch it up. So I resprayed the headlight buckets. Hopefully they look okay when they're dry. I don't have any runs in them. Resprayed all these. So I flicked up these out, turned these up the other way to start off and gave them a quick couple of good passes it goes, I guess you'd call it. And I turn them up the other way because they've got those little prongs, so they're only just sitting on there. It doesn't matter if the paint sticks to something. Repainted all this stuff. Hopefully I've got everything. I think they look okay. Because I was missing bits in here last time because I'd hung them up the other way, so we put the nuts on the end of them and hung them the other way. I gave this just a quick couple of goes over as well. This mainly everything I just turned it up the other way if I could. The only thing I couldn't turn up the other way was this, but I just made sure I got it a bit better down the bottom because it was a bit funny and bare just underneath that bottom edge last time, and we just gave it a sand out to try and make it look a little bit better. I think we got pretty good. We'll find out after lunch. We should better. I haven't poured a heap of paint on these, just a couple of lighter coats, enough to cover it back up and cover the spots where I've sanded through. So find out what they look like after lunch. I think I'll just leave the door open and leave the sun pouring in here. Not going to make much difference, but we'll bugger off. I did cover the car, majority of it. So we'll go some lunch. We'll come back and we'll check her out later on.